What's going on, guys? How you doing? Today's video, we are starting, yes, close to the edge tomorrow. The reason why tomorrow is because it's over 18 minutes long, and you guys know how I do all this, right? If you've been here for any amount of time, I go through a whole bunch of information first. So I don't want the video to be 30 minutes long or more. I'm not dealing with that. So today's just going to be the information. Tomorrow's going to be the song. That's what's going to happen. Okay, but we're starting it. Okay, I mean there's 3 tracks, 4. I'm probably going to throw America in there, but right now we're just doing information. Okay, so Close to the Edge, 5th album. Yes, released September 1972. Their last album of the 70s to feature Bill Bruford. Huge, huge. Who found the album particularly laborious to make and felt unable to contribute better ideas, which influenced his decision to join King Crimson once recording had finished. That's crazy. After scoring a critical and commercial hit with Fragile and touring the album, Yes regrouped with engineer Eddie Offord to record a follow-up. The album's centerpiece is the 18-minute title track, lyrics inspired by Herman Hesse novel Siddhartha. Side 2 contains 2 non-conceptual tracks, folk-inspired And You and I, and the comparatively straightforward rocker Siberian Katru, which we did check out, right? So this will be my 2nd time listening to it. The album's cover, designed by Roger Dean, marked the debut of the band's bubble logo. Yeah, okay. Close to the Edge became the band's greatest commercial success at the time of release. Wow. Number 3 in the US, where it sold over 1 million copies. 1972-73 tour comprised over 90 dates worldwide and marked the debut of drummer Alan White, who joined the band 3 days before it started. That's crazy. Wow. Ranked 445th on Rolling Stone's list of 500 greatest albums of all time, so not that great. That's pretty funny. All right, I'm joking around. This is where everyone's like, oh, let's see your album that's on the everybody does that, right? Not everybody. There's just some people that do that. By 1972, Yes excelled with a lineup of lead vocalist John Anderson, Chris Squire, Bill Bruford, Steve Howe, Rick Wakeman. In March 72, they wrapped their 6-month Fragile tour of the UK and North America to support their 4th album, Fragile. The album became the biggest commercial and critical hit since their formation, helped by the track Roundabout, receiving considerable airplay on American radio. During one of the tour's rest periods, the band booked time at Advision Studios in London to put down some tracks for a follow-up record. When touring finished, they took another break before they entered rehearsals. Although some arrangements were worked out and put onto tape during this time, none of the tracks were fully written at this stage, leaving the group to devise the rest of the songs in the studio and learn to play them through afterwards. Oh, okay. On several occasions, the arrangements that Yes had started to assemble were so complex that they were forgotten by the time the next day's session began. Jeez. This caused the band to record each rehearsal for future reference. Bruford devised the album's title to reflect the state of the band at the time. Wow. I mean, you got Fragile, right? And then Close to the Edge again. So again, this it just sounds like chaos. I wonder how that, I don't know. It sounds like chaos. It sounds like a lot of just John Anderson, Chris Squire, just big egos. Sounds like just really big egos. That can be really hard to balance. Okay. By June 1972, Yes had worked out songs for the album and returned to Advision to record it. Eddie Offord, who had worked with Yes since Time and a Word and had mixed their live sound on the Fragile tour, assumed his role as audio engineer and producer, sharing his production duties with the band. Having worked on the band's live sound, Offord wished to recreate in the studio the high feeling the band had on nights when they performed well in concert. That's very cool. It's very cool, actually. To attempt this, he got their road crew to construct a large stage in the studio for the band to perform on. He noted that Bruford's drums resonated with the wooden platform and made the band sound more live. That's very cool. Dig it. The studio also housed a booth-like structure constructed of wooden boards, which Howe performed in to enhance his sound further. In one incident, the band decided to use a particular take for a track, but realized that the studio's cleaning staff had put the tape in the rubbish. What the heck? A scramble in the bins outside the studio ensued, and the missing piece was found and inserted into the master. Around halfway through recording, Anderson decided to walk home from the studio after one exhausting session ended at dawn. He broke down in tears upon arriving because he decided that he could officially call himself a musician now, and wrote it on the occupation section of his passport, which he had previously left blank until that point. It's weird. Okay. Okay. Super weird. This seems like imbalanced to me, in my opinion. That seems a little bit weird, but whatever. During their month at Advision, a melody maker, reporter, and band biographer Chris Welk paid a visit to observe the group at work. Welk described a stressful atmosphere coupled with outbursts of anarchy from Bruford, Howe, and Wakeman, and disagreement from each member after one mix of a song section was complete. Welk sensed that the band were not a cohesive unit, with Anderson and Howe the only ones who knew what direction the album was to take, leaving the rest adding bits and pieces to a vast jigsaw of sound, to which Squire and Offord were the two who helped put their idea into shape. Wakeman and Bruford to Welk remained innocent bystanders in the matter. In one instant, Welk arrived at the studio to hear a preview of a completed passage that took several days of round-the-clock work to produce. He heard a dull thud to find that Offord had fallen asleep on top of the mixing console from exhaustion, leaving music from the spinning tape deck blaring at an intolerable level. Jesus. Howe later disagreed with Welk's description and said his report might have been based on Bruford's comments at the time. Howe said that the main source of tension was between Squire and Bruford, particularly when Squire suggested that Bruford alter his drumming to accommodate bass parts that Squire wanted to play. Bruford found Close to the Edge particularly difficult to write and record with the rest of the band, calling the process torturous and like climbing Mount Everest. He became frustrated with the band's happy diatonic music and favored more jazz-oriented and improvisational compositions. This became an issue with the group's way of composing and recording, as each section of a track was played through and discussed section by section. Bruford said every instrument was up for a democratic election, and everybody had to run an election campaign on every issue. It was horrible. Yeah, it sounds very tedious. Very tedious. It was incredibly unpleasant and unbelievably hard work. Squire became a growing source of discontent for Bruford, citing his frequent lateness for rehearsals and his way of working. In one instance, Bruford fell asleep on a sofa in the studio control room while Squire was poring over a couple of knobs on the mixing desk to determine how much equalization should be applied to his bass tracks, only to wake up several hours later finding Squire in the same place, still considering the relative position of the two knobs. That's just indecisiveness, right? Bruford was I get it, but at some point you gotta get through that. Bruford was constantly encouraged by Anderson to write something he felt grateful for years later, but by the time recording was complete, he felt he had done his best on Close to the Edge and could not offer better arrangements, so then I knew I needed a breath of fresh air and left the group. Wow. It's too bad. Yeah, it's too bad. But that's what it is. Okay, so Close to the Edge is what we're gonna be doing. But that's gonna be tomorrow. That's gonna be on another video because I don't want this to go over 30 minutes, and that's what it'll do. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow when we start Close to the Edge. Later.